What is a mode? While the modes are often described as inversions of a scale, this description is not too helpful for the composer or soloist. So this video attempts to provide the most practical explanation of the modes for music creators. First, a musical example to illustrate the main principle of modes. You are about to hear two melodies, both in the key of C. One is happy and the other is sad. Choose which melody is happy and which is sad. As you might have noticed, the two melodies are identical. What changed was the low note under the melody. The low A in the first example made the melody sound sad, and the low C made it sound happy. In more technical language, emphasis on the A created the A Aeolian mode, and emphasis on the C created the C Ionian mode. Each of the 7 modes has its own mood, and here are my subjective descriptions of the moods of the modes. These modes are derived from C major, but the 7 modes work the same way in every key. So there are 2 takeaways so far. Takeaway 1. Emphasis on one note in the scale creates the mode associated with that note. Takeaway 2. A low note or bass note is sufficient to provide that emphasis, thereby establishing the mode. So considering that modes are all about emphasis on a particular note, I'll offer this definition of a mode. A mode is a scale whose emotional quality is determined by the interaction of all of its notes with one of its notes which is given special emphasis. Another way to emphasize a single note or scale tone and thus to create its mode is by using a chord. Placing a triad with its root on scale tone X will create mode X in combination with the scale. Here F is emphasized using an F chord. F is the 4th chord from C major, rooted on the 4th note from C major, so we get the 4th mode from C major, aka F Lydian. Just by improvising over the F chord in the key of C, you can hear the epic science fiction score quality that is characteristic of the Lydian mode. There is a third way to manifest a mode. Rather than relying on the accompaniment of a bass note or chord, the melody itself generates the mode. There are a couple of ways to design a melody with emphasis on a single note such that a particular mode will be produced. The first way is to use a pedal tone, which is the modal note repeated often within the melody. In this example, A is repeated often in a melody which uses notes from G major. This creates the A Dorian mode and its mysterious mood. Another way to convey a mode with melody alone is to make frequent use of the notes from the modal chord, particularly at the start of the melody. In this example, F-sharp Phrygian is evoked by starting the melody with notes from the F-sharp minor chord, then continuing in D major, which is the parent key of F-sharp Phrygian. While you could think of a mode as lasting only as long as the accompanying chord, chord progressions can feature a single mode, and in fact, most of them do. In other words, chord progressions generally resolve to one mode. So the question is, how do you arrange chords to produce a particular mode? The simplest and most effective way to do this is to start with the modal chord. For example, if you want the sound of G mixolydian, start with a G chord. The first chord generally sets the tone, literally. The rest of the chords will come from the same parent key. Usually, the first, fourth, and fifth chords from the parent key will work as additional chords in any mode. In the parent key of C, these chords are C, F, and G. G is already in the progression, so we're really adding F and C. And you can arrange these in any order that sounds good. Or let's say the goal is to write a chord progression in D Aeolian. D Aeolian is the sixth mode from the parent key of F. So start with the sixth chord, D minor, followed by some other chords from F, particularly the 1, 4, and 5 chords, F, B flat, and C, in any order that sounds good. Here are some chord progressions written in each of the modes derived from C major, excluding Locrian, which I'll cover later. The Roman numerals indicate the relative scale degrees from C major, which the chords are rooted on. Using this notation, we can transpose any of these progressions to any other key. For instance, let's transpose this A Aeolian progression to B Aeolian. The chord types will be the same in both progressions. So the first chord is B minor. For the other chords, you'll need to know the key that has B as its sixth note. As you'll see on this key chart from Guitar Theory Handbook, D major is the key that has B as its sixth note. We can see that G and A are the fourth and fifth notes, which tells us that G major and A major are the other two chords in this progression. Upper and lower case Roman numerals can be used to indicate major chords and minor chords respectively. It's worth noting that Lydian is fragile in the sense that chords other than the modal tonic will take over and weaken the Lydian effect. Songs that feature Lydian tend to ride the modal chord for a long time. To put it simply, if you want to write in F Lydian, stay on the F chord. Locrian, the seventh mode, is generally not used as a primary mode for composition because it sits on a diminished chord and it has an unresolved quality. For these reasons, hardly any songs are written in Locrian. So far, we have looked at modes in the relative sense, that is, modes as they are derived from a parent key. It is also useful to know the scale degrees for each mode, particularly to compare modes to the Ionian mode or major scale, because the major scale is the yardstick by which chord degrees and scale degrees are named and numbered. Using these formulas, you can transform any major scale into any mode. For instance, to transform C Ionian into C Lydian, raise the fourth note. In other words, F goes to F sharp. Or to change E major to E Dorian, lower the third and seventh degrees, so G sharp drops to G and D sharp drops to D. It is also useful to know that there are three major modes, meaning modes with a major third or an Ionian third, and three minor modes, meaning modes with a minor third or flat third, excluding Locrian. Looking at the major modes, both Lydian and Mixolydian differ from Ionian by one note. Lydian has a sharp 4, and Mixolydian has a flat 7 compared to Ionian. Similarly, among the minor modes, Dorian and Phrygian differ from Aeolian, the natural minor scale, by one note. We see that Dorian has a major 6 compared to Aeolian's flat 6, and that Phrygian has a flat 2 compared to the major 2 in Aeolian. For more information on modes and music theory as it relates to guitar, check the description for Guitar Theory Handbook and ModeWizard software. I'll end with some titles of songs written in each of the modes. The music accompanying this outro uses 6 different chord progressions, each defining a different mode from 1 through 6, while a single melody repeats over each progression. In this way, you can hear how the mood of the melody is affected by the chords and the modes they imply. Thanks for watching.